America is not a racist country.
Ladies and gentlemen, the House approved a domestic terrorist bill, and let me tell you why this should be unacceptable and definitely not an answer to what happened in Buffalo, New York. Ladies and gentlemen, if America was about getting rid of domestic terrorists, they would never let the Klan and all these other groups out here exist. But they sure didn't have no problem dismantling the Black Panthers. But these other groups, they have been out here existing for decades. The skinheads, the neo Nazis, the Klan, you got the Proud Boys. You see, and these folks do it openly. See, they don't even go into hiding with these groups. They are out here in the open with their racism publicly. And they're even allowed to have rallies. So no, this is not the answer. We need an anti-black bill and we need our reparations. See, they don't want to face what they can't defend. See, they can't defend not giving you that anti-black bill. So now you're going to see them put on, excuse my language, a pure shit show. Oh, well, let's push this bill and let's get out in front of them and give them speeches and pray and do this and do that. We don't want none of that stuff. We don't want none of it. Right now, we are sitting out here with no protection. Your slave catchers don't protect us. Your justice system don't protect us. And even the Department of Justice, even under a Democratic president, does not protect us. Don't overlook none of this. I mean, and listen to how the governor of New York is talking. She's not talking about a crime bill for her black citizens that are constantly under attack. She is sitting there talking about social media. And Letitia James is on the same thing. Oh, we need to go after that social media. Social media, that's not going to protect your citizens that are being terrorized for the last 500 years. It's been straight terrorism. And these folks keep blatantly looking at it and trying to give you lip service or something like this, a domestic terrorist bill. When they sign this bill, y'all, trust me, the Klan is still going to exist. The Proud Boys are still going to exist. These neo Nazis are still going to exist after this bill is signed. The problem is you got white people investigating other white people. And this is why this stuff continues to go on the way that we have seen it all this time. That is the root cause of the problem. I'm going to go ahead and play this audio from NPR.
The House of Representatives has narrowly approved a bill to combat domestic terrorism. The vote happened late last night, just days after the racist mass shooting in Buffalo, New York. The House easily passed a similar bill just months before the January 6th insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. But this time, only one House Republican, Representative Adam Kinzinger of Illinois, voted yes. This legislation would tap additional federal resources for preventing domestic terrorism. So why didn't it have the support of more GOP lawmakers? NPR's Deirdre Walsh reports. After meeting with victims of the mass shooting in Buffalo, President Biden called white supremacy a poison and labeled the threat. What happened here is simple and straightforward: terrorism, domestic terrorism. Without the votes to pass any new gun control measures in a narrowly divided Congress, House Democrats are trying to step up efforts to combat domestic terrorism. Illinois Democratic Congressman Brad Schneider, the sponsor of the bill, says Congress may not be able to get through restrictions on gun sales, but it needs to tackle what he says isn't a partisan issue. This past weekend, we had the shooting in Buffalo, we had a shooting in California, we had a shooting in my district, a gang shooting where a 14-year-old boy was killed. We need to address what is an epidemic of gun violence in the country. We need to tackle the challenge of domestic extremism. And the only way we do that is finding a bipartisan way to push the ball forward together. The bill creates offices within law enforcement agencies to track and respond to threats and coordinate information sharing. I can't say this law would have stopped what happened in Buffalo. What I can say is that if we give the abilities of FBI, Department of Justice, Department of Homeland Security to try to intercept these threats before they become a reality, maybe we stop the next Buffalo or the next El Paso, the next Pittsburgh attack. But Republicans who voted for the 2020 bill now argue this one would allow the Justice Department to label parents criticizing their school boards as domestic terrorists. They point to a memo from October that directed federal authorities to address rising threats of violence against teachers, school boards, and officials related to pandemic policies on masks and vaccines. The Attorney General told Congress parents were not the focus of the memo, the threats were. Nebraska Republican Don Bacon, one of the GOP sponsors of the current bill, says conservative media attacking the bill has made voters in his district worried. They feel like it's been politicized, these investigations. So actually, I hear from folks, are they going to investigate me because I'm pro-life? And I'm not saying just one or two. I heard it from dozens of constituents. How could you be on this bill? Even hours before the vote, he was torn. And I like Brad Schneider. Brad and I work well together, man, on this stuff. And I think there's a case to be made to vote for it too. So I'm giving you the side that the pushback I'm getting, but I got on the bill for a reason, and I thought there was some goodness to it as well. The top House Republican, Kevin McCarthy, made it clear he doesn't trust the Biden administration. An administration that uses their Department of Justice to go after parents simply because they want to have a say in their kids' education. The Justice Department declined to comment on the GOP claims, but Schneider pushed back. It's not a new statute. It doesn't create any new statutes or penalties. It gives our federal law enforcement resources to identify the growing threats of domestic terrorism, like what we saw in Buffalo, and hopefully prevent these types of events in the future. Bacon joined most GOP members voting no. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer announced the Senate will hold a procedural vote on the bill next week, but continued GOP opposition could derail it. Deirdre Walsh, NPR.
Okay, we don't want this domestic terrorism bill. We don't want this. What we want is an anti-Black crime bill, just like you gave the Asians an anti-Asian crime bill. Nothing short of that is going to be good enough. You can't pass this bill and then be harping on it's going to harm parents. We don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear it. And anybody that is against an anti-Black crime bill, we need to be on social media dragging the hell out of that person. Put the stigma of racism on that person that's against it. And any of these congressional Black caucus members that are against an anti-Black crime bill, I don't care if they've been there for 50 years. We need to be dragging them all over social media. And we never let them forget. And we make sure when any of them come up for reelection, we use our platforms to voice against them and against their reelection. It's time to take a hard stand and remain in our position. Don't accept anything that's short of an anti-Black crime bill. Joe Biden could put pen to paper and sign this into law just like he did for the Asians. We don't want to hear anything else. Give us our reparations and our anti-Black crime bill. End of discussion. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.